But coming to a new country, it's almost like you not only have everything new, culture, customs, language, all the environment which is different, but also it's almost like you're losing your identity. You don't lose your values, but you cannot express it. Imagine you are in an environment where you hold all your inner genius and inner talents and all the knowledge, and you cannot express it. All that.
This is Chocolate and Coffee Break, a compassionate proposition, a space to share stories, bridge divides, and spark meaningful connections. So grab your chocolate, pour your cuppa, and let's break down barriers, one conversation at a time. And now, here's your host, Andrea Pudding.
Welcome to another episode of Chocolate and Coffee Break. And I hope you've got your chocolate and your cuppa and you're ready to listen to another story that might help you break down some barriers. So today we have a beautiful guest from South Australia. And it's a conversation that speaks to something many people feel even when they've never left their country. Larissa Vakulina has left Russia to build a new life in Australia, but what she discovered wasn't just about starting again in a new place. It was about what happens when everything that wants to find you disappears. So welcome, Larissa, to Chocolate and Coffee Break.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me, and I'm really grateful to have conversation with you here to share my story, how I migrated and how everything then started my new life in a new country.
So do you have some chocolate and a cuppa ready to go today?
I have my chocolate.
And what chocolate do you have today?
I have a very beautiful, nice chocolate of the Dubai collection, finest chocolate collection.
Wonderful. And I have today a caramel salted Lindt milk chocolate. And I can't wait to jump into and enjoy this piece of chocolate because it smells really good.
Yes.
So I like to start each episode with a heart opener question. So today, my question is, what's a moment that made you feel truly seen?
I guess when we ourselves see and ground ourselves and be present, well, then we feel that others are also seeing us. Then we feel seen, but it's not happening really easily because we have this very distorted and limited perception of ourselves through some childhood traumas and wounds and all the constructs of upbringing. And it is quite challenging to feel seen ourselves for ourselves. And then, of course, automatically, we would experience the same type of not being seen until we sorted it all out.
Yeah, that's a really interesting perspective that I wasn't expecting. So it's around being seen by yourself, which is a really important thing because people seem to neglect that aspect of recognizing all the beauty and wisdom that you hold yourself. So that's beautiful. So I'd love to start with you left Russia. So what was happening for you at that time where you decided to leave Russia and move all the way to Australia?
Well, that was really long time ago. It was 32 years ago,
Wow.
almost 33 now. um, I think the values that we hold back in Russia was really difficult to achieve and pass on to our children because of the political, economical crises that the country back then was experiencing. And the main motivator was, of course, to give children different choice, to give children a safer environment where they could have wider opportunities. That was the motivation behind
Hmm.
decision to move to another country. And of course, geographically, Russia and Australia is just farthest from each other countries, but
Yes.
we decided to do this because we had very distinct relatives here in Australia. And before making decision to migrate, both me and my husband first came for holiday back 32 years or 35 years ago. And we decided that this country, Australia, could provide a better, safer environment for us to express ourselves and also for children to
Yeah.
be educated and make better choices.
Yeah. And that's understandable. I think a lot of people migrate here for that exact reason. So, when you first came to Australia, you didn't have language skills of English. So, how did you manage with that? Because that must have been so challenging. That's something we don't really think about as English speakers. So, what was that like for you?
Well, absolutely. I was 33 and I already had my qualification from Russian St. Petersburg University as a engineer economist. But coming to a new country, it's almost like you not only have everything new, culture, customs, language, all the environment which is different, but also it's almost like you're losing your identity. You don't lose your values, but you cannot express it. Imagine you are in an environment where you hold all your inner genius and inner talents and all the knowledge, and you cannot express it. Well, that was really, really challenging situation for me. But I decided to, of course, very quickly to educate myself, and I choose the best college, paid college, so that I can get a quality English course for me to be able to start to communicate. But it still was very, very difficult because in the beginning, my children, two boys, 10 and 12 years old, they've been catching English much quicker. And even on a basic level, they could help me in the shopping center to ask what I need. So it is a very challenging journey, but at the same time, I think the motivation, the curiosity, the excitement, the wideness of the possibilities and opportunities in a new country, they've been weighing the fear or the lack of confidence, the maybe the frustration. So it's almost was like the inner balance that needs to be equated, the motivation and then the fear and what is winning. So I was almost looking to this forward thinking, forward looking, and I was overcoming the fear despite of having these inner critical voices within myself, like, well, who am I to assume I'm going to do this, and who am I to assume that I can have express myself in the fullness of who I am.
Yeah. And it does sound like in those early moments that you kind of lost everything about who you were and had to kind of rebuild your whole self. And that must have been a real challenge for you to have to depend on your children so much instead of them depending on you. Suddenly you had to depend on them. So a real challenge of letting go of everything and having to re-find and redefine who you are. And so let's have that conversation in a minute when we come back from our break. And, I'm going to have a bit of a chocolate break because, I love a bit of chocolate. And while we are, watch our sponsors and subscribe, like, and comment on the show.
When I hit perimenopause, all I heard was doom and decline until I took a sacred pause and I went searching for women who are radiant after menopause, like Dr. Christiane Northrup, Dr. Vandana Shiva, and the late Dr. Gladys McGarry, still shining at 103. In this book, I share their stories and wisdom and the magic that menopause truly holds. 7 Wonders of Menopause is a sacred reminder. You're not ending, you're returning. Available at independent bookshops in Australia and Amazon around the world.
Did you know that only 30% of speakers are women and that only 13% of panels feature women? In order to change that, there is now a directory at womenspeakers.com.au where you can go and search for a speaker. We also have groups on Facebook and LinkedIn under the name Australian Women Speakers, where you can just go and post about your event and women will respond.
We're here today with Larissa Vakulina. Sorry, I've got it wrong again. Vakulina. And I'll get it right by the end of the show. So you arrived in Australia and you had all of your qualifications that you had earned had suddenly, as many migrants find, are suddenly not worth the paper they're written on in Australia. So what did that do to your sense of self and self-worth?
Yes, this is a good question, and I believe many migrants experiencing the same type of almost like a collapse of their self-worth. Because in my personal case, my qualification was not recognized. So basically, at 33, number one, I not only couldn't communicate, I actually was not recognized and not accepted in my skills and in my knowledge. So it was a moment where I was just thinking, was that right decision? Was this a decision that really could eventuate into something that I was dreaming about when we moved to this new country? But then again, as I said, we have this critic within, but we also have the divine inner place where we have the inspiration. We ground ourselves in this place, and I decided, okay, if my qualification is not recognized, now I need to make decision to study again here in a new country. And after 9 months of studying English language, I enrolled myself into the Masters of Business Administration degree in the Adelaide School of Business.
So you must have felt like, okay, I can speak the language. I'm right now. It must have been such a challenge to then go and listen to lectures in English and have it just, because it wouldn't have been slow, it would have been just full on, and they start talking technically in lectures. That must have been a real challenge.
Of course, it was. And I remember the first lecture when I went after the enrollment. I was sitting in that room with another 30 people, and there have been some migrants as well. And I couldn't really even catch one word of what the lecturer was saying. And that was really a challenging time that I faced myself with this reflection of like, I don't know how I'm gonna to live, how I'm gonna to function, how I'm gonna to get myself back into who I am. And it was almost crushed me. I was just completely disoriented and dismotivated, or unmotivated. So, and then I sit at night at that after the lecture, and I decided, okay, what can I do? Well, I have a number of choices. I can actually resign from the program. I can just think maybe I can just go and clean floors on the shopping center or something. But then again, that other part of me saying, no, I can't do this. And the way I can do this, I can prepare myself for the lectures beforehand. So I went to the student office and I asked all material of additional reading, of the course reading, the course program, to give it to me in advance so that I have the guidance of where and how I can prepare myself before I come to the lecture. And of course, it was challenging. And I remember I had my dictionary in my hands. Sometimes I couldn't really even understand what I'm reading. But slowly, in about 3 months, I start to feel that works. It works. Every time I come to the lecture, I already know, at least in the beginning, on a general level, of what this lecture gonna be about.
Yeah.
And then it's deeper and deeper and deeper, and I started to understand. And I finished my Master's of Business Administration degree in 2.5 years. So that was 1999. And then there was another challenge.
Yes. Yes. And I just want to honor you for that, because it would have been so easy just to give in and say, well, I obviously can't study. I can't. Maybe I'll have to come back in a couple of years' time or something when I know the language. I've listened to it more, but that must have been. So it's really quite honourable of you to stick it out and work with it. And I think that kind of comes with the migrant experience of, there's a lot of migrants who come and they're just so determined to make the best out of their lives that they'll just go all for it and make that happen. So I read in a book that you had written in that you had accent, now I've forgotten the word, accent shame at one point.
Yes, well, because when we learn English or any other language in another country, we are still sound very different, and we still perceived different. We have this almost that like our identity is transformed from the original you, from your motherland, into something that is different, and sometimes you yourself don't understand that identity. And the accent was something that was almost like a guilt or the shame, all these little critical feelings about the self, like, okay, what can I do to improve it, or what can I do to get rid of it? But we understand learning language at 33, it's not really that easy or even possible to get rid of your accent because of the biological structure of our tongue and pronunciation and sounds. It was another challenge for me. I was almost like trying to be behind, trying to be in the shade of other people. And what happened next, that in my Master of Business Administration degree, we had group projects, and a group needs to appoint everyone to do a certain tasks. And everyone, 5 or 6 people, would go and do research, would prepare the report, some statistical data and things like that. And for me, I was never involved in that type of things. I was always the one who needed to present. And when first time I realized that I was the one who is going to present for half an hour or 45 minutes of our project, I nearly fall off the chair because I was thinking like, why would you choose me where my English is not so perfect? It's not it's not flowy. It's not the one that probably would be expressing the subject deeply or more clearly. And what I received is that you are different, and everyone would listen you with more attention, and that's what we want. That's what we want. So since that time, I realized accent or difference can be your strength. It can be your unique expression rather than weakness.
So often your difference can be your strength. And so what you thought was a weakness is actually very powerful. So let's have another quick chocky break and listen to those amazing people who helped make this show happen.
Introducing 123 Read to Me. We give books to children who don't have books so they can succeed. Help us give away books to supported playgroups, kindergartens, schools, community events. Come and sort books. Donate money. $5 equals one book in the hand of a child. Because just one book a day creates clever, kind and confident kids. 123 Read to Me. If this interests you, let's talk.
You've ticked the boxes: career, commitments, calendar that's more packed than your pantry, but something's still missing. In Compassionate Purpose, Andrea Putting invites you to stop chasing busy and start living with intention. This book is about real fulfillment through small acts of compassion, purpose-driven service, and meaning that last. No pressure, no perfection, just purpose with heart. Compassionate Purpose, Discovering a Life of Fulfillment. Search for Andrea Putting on Amazon.
So we're back with Larissa Vakulina. And we're talking about her experience when she came to Australia. Now, you've done the study, you've learned the language, you've re-qualified, so you must have been on a high of, right, I can do this, I can get out into the world. And so then what happened next?
Yes, I was so excited because I thought now I'm fully equipped to actually contribute to a new country. But what I faced again is because of the lack of my Western experience and possibly maybe that strong accent again, I was actually not accepted into the level of the job force which I was looking for after my MBA program. And again, I was facing almost the same type of realization, like, okay, am I capable of doing what I would like to do? Or I still would be destined to go and be an assistant or the cleaner. And I know how many immigrants are feeling the same because they just hold degrees but scrub floors on the offices. And the woman that just maybe doing some, housekeeping for other people, but could run boardrooms, right? And it's like, for me, that was, okay, I can do things, but how I can get through the barriers. And I decided to open my own business. I decided. Yes, I took stock of what my skills and what my connections and what I can do. And back then in Russia was really difficult time in terms of the food. And Australia, of course, is a #1 producer of meat products. And I decided to connect the supply and demand of these two countries. Seems like impossible because of the logistical challenges and all the other veterinary standards challenges, but we did it. And within 3 years' time of me registering a trading company, this company become number 3 fastest growing business in
Wow.
Australia.
You did amazing with that.
Yeah.
Yes. So has there been other moments when you have felt rejected for who you are
Well,
or been
again,
judged
yeah,
from where you're
again,
from?
um, I'm not sure about how to answer this question because um, there is some moments in life, especially when we see what's happening around the world and all the perception of different nations and cultures and people. It is quite challenging. And I was experiencing some sort of a judgmental attitude in 2022 when the situation with Russia and Ukraine happened. But again, I think we can establish this stamina, the emotional stamina within ourselves, where we would see everything that is playing around externally is not really triggering us that much emotionally. It is almost like we become an observer, and we also look at this relational links as one big creation, but we not involved emotionally. We're not feeding the negativity. We're not feeding, and we not answering in the same triggered or reactive way. And
Yes. So where have you landed now? You've done all of that and you've dealt with all of this. After 32 years, where have you landed now? What's going?
well,
What?
about 15 years ago, running a very successful business, I was involved in many different organizations, expert council, the Reserve Bank of Australia's small advisory business panel. I became an honorary consul of Russian Federation for South Australia, and a number of roles that been for me again expressing myself in a way of my active mind and active energy. But then what I start to feel that this external success is actually not translating into my internal feelings. I started to feel very disconnected. The success started to become quite heavy burden rather than something that I would really enjoy. And the fast running to keep this success was really overwhelming. And at one stage, I started to feel depressed. I developed some panic attacks, anxiety, and that stopped me in this fast running pace. And I started to listen to my body. And that realization and also different experiences after, when I start to feel what I really would like to do, made me do different things completely 180%.
Yes. So very quickly, share with us what you're doing.
So now I actually run wellness center in South Australia on 89 acres of land. And this land was fully energetically harmonized and completely get into the coherency of the healing energy here. So I also studied another 4 years to become a brain and healing science practitioner and therapist. So now
Beautiful.
I'm working with successful women who are overwhelmed, who
Yeah.
are
Fabulous. So tell people what the name of that business is if they want to look you up.
Well, basically, if they simply just go larissavakulina.com, they could find everything about me and what I'm doing and the wellness center.
Fabulous. So the brew the change for this week is This week, I want you to notice the next time you hear an accent, see someone different or feel that instinct to judge. And instead of stepping back, lean in, start a conversation, ask a question, because belonging doesn't happen when we stay comfortable. It happens when we choose to understand. So thank you, Larissa, for being on the show today. And as always, let love be the loudest voice.